everybody, Lenny back with another watch video, and today we're looking at two watches. They're both Seiko. This one doesn't say Seiko. This one does, but they're both Seiko. Let's pop them open and take a look. See? It does say Seiko. This one is the SNKL23. And I've already sized it and adjusted it, so if there's any smudges, just deal with it. I'm sorry. The other one this is the SNKK17. And the reason I want to talk about both of them is, well, they both came in the mail at the same time, pretty much less than 12 hours apart from each other. They're both Seiko 5s. I like Seiko 5s. They both fit, even though they're both Seiko 5s and they're very similar, they both fit very different categories as far as watches that you're going to want to wear. So let's get them out of the box and take a look at them. This is my homemade watch roll. Made it from an old pair of jeans that I had to stop wearing because they got a hole in them. Another reason I wanted to talk about both of these watches, I see quite a few videos about perfect one watch collections, perfect two watch collections, perfect watch collections under a certain dollar amount, that kind of thing. And this is kind of going to be something like that. I'm not telling you that these are going to be the only two watches you'll ever own, but if these are the only two watches you have, I think you're just about ready for almost anything. Emphasis on the almost. Oh, and quick wrist check. Today I'm wearing my my Merkur FOD, F-O-D. It's got the ST19, a Seagull chronograph movement in it. It's a hand wind. It's got a display case back. Yeah, so it's the ST19 just like the 1963, except it's got the swan neck balance adjustment, escapement adjuster thing. Very cool, very pretty, very sporty. And the strap is, it's actually really nice for a cheap watch. And I'll definitely do a video review of this one later on. So the cool thing about Seiko 5, the sports line that Seiko has recently revamped with the 5KX as people call it, it's been around forever. The reason it's called Seiko 5 is because when Seiko came out with this line of watches, they needed to have 5 key points. And if you do a little bit of reading, a little bit of research, you're going to find about 6, 7, 8 different points that people bring up, but they always bring up it's got to be an automatic. It's got to have a day date, which apparently was original at the time when these designs came out in the 60s. They have to be water resistant. These are both 30 meters water resistance. Steel case, steel bracelet, durable. One of the things I've heard is that one of the main keys is that they have to have a Diaflex mainspring. So that's like a durable mainspring that Seiko had back in the day. And Diashock, which is the Japanese watch manufacturer's answer to Inca Block. And that is actually like a shock absorbing system on the balance. One of the main key features that I've always read is that Seiko 5s originally, of course, should have a recessed crown at the 4 o'clock like these both do. These both have the 7S26 movement. It's a 21 jewel automatic movement. It does not hack, it does not hand wind, but it winds very efficiently from the rotors. So no matter which way the rotor spins, it's going to wind that mainspring. As you can see, these both have display case backs, showing off that utilitarian 7S26 movement. Another plus about that movement is, of course, it's very old design. It's very durable. It's a workhorse. It's going to work when you need it to. So if you want to watch that hacks and hand winds, stay away from the 7S26. But if you are the kind of person who has a lot of watches in your rotation, like me, the 7S26 isn't bad. I really don't mind getting up in the morning, doing a little bit of shake, setting it, and off I go. It's really not that bad. Hacking and hand winding is cool, but to me it's not a deal breaker. But let's talk about these watches individually. So they're very different. Well, I wouldn't say very different. They are different in very key ways. The SNKL23, it's more of a dressy Seiko 5. It still has the same attributes as a Seiko 5 sports watch, so it's got the water resistance, 7S26, so you can wear it, wherever you want. But this is a very, very elegant piece. The case design is, to me, it's definitely a little bit more dressy than the other one, especially with that recessed crown. The SNKK17 is a little bit more robust. It's a little bit more bulky. and a little bit more sporty, in my opinion. So this is like something you'd wear during the day, at work, on the weekend, playing around, I don't know. And this is like something you'd wear to like an event or something that's a little bit more formal. This is more formal, this is more sporty. That's pretty much the gist of it. So the SNK L23, the case on this, it's definitely more elegant than the other one. It's more streamlined for sure. It's the measurements, of course, it's 38 millimeters in diameter. It's about 10.5 millimeters thick, 45.5 millimeters lug to lug, 18 millimeter lug width, so that's the kind of strap it takes. It's got a display case back, as I said, Hardlex crystal. The finish is cool, so it's got polish on the bevel there, but very fine brushing on the sides and on the top of the lugs. And of course, this fixed bezel is very high polish too. The case on this guy, it's a little bulkier seeming, but it's really not. It's a 38.5 millimeter case. It's 10.4 millimeters thick, so it's a little bit thinner than the SNKL. 45 millimeters lug to lug, so it's half a millimeter shorter in lug to lug, which does actually make a big difference to me. We'll get into that more later. It takes a 20 millimeter lug bracelet, so to me it's more versatile to throw on a strap, throw on a NATO, and of course display case back Hardlex crystal. So they both have black dials, as you can see. This one they both have texture, but this one has vertical lines around the indices, and this one has more radial lines that they're a lot finer, so it kind of gives it almost a matte or a sunburst finish depending on how you look at it. Neither of these have anti-reflective coating, so if that's a turn off for you, that's too bad, because these are both about 80 bucks. This one has less looms. It's got dots around the chapter ring that do have a little bit of loom. It's got some loom on the hands. Applied indices that are chromed. These are what I think these are called Dauphine hands. I might be saying that wrong, but they're very elegant, classic style hands. And it's got the black day date with a chrome window, and I think that's very classy. The dial on this one, of course, is black. It has a lot more loom on the baton hands and the applied indexes. And the hands and the indexes and the window around the white day date, as you can see, they're kind of gold colored. Well, not kind of gold, they are gold colored, and I think it's really cool looking. They both, of course, have needle second hands. This has definitely more elegant dial, and this one definitely has a sportier, more robust dial. You can see it better in the dark. But the loom on this one is pretty decent. I mean, you know, when the lights go low at the opera, you're still going to be able to tell what time it is. It's not a very big deal. So as I mentioned before, these both have the recessed crowns at the 4 o'clock-ish. Whenever someone says crown at the 4 o'clock, it bugs me, because it's not at the 4 o'clock. It's like 4:45, 4:50. I don't know. I mean, that doesn't bother me about the watch. It's just, it's not the 4 o'clock. I don't know. Anyway, the crown on this one is very recessed. Kind of, when you're not using it, it sinks in, and it kind of keeps the line of the elegant case going. Because of that, it's kind of hard to manipulate, kind of hard to use. It doesn't have a lot of surface area, so you really gotta want to turn it. And I'm sure this will break in and become easier to turn the longer I own this watch. But it's not a deal breaker, but it's something to consider. It's chromed, it blends very well into the case, very elegant as far as the whole design of the watch goes. Now the crown on this one, it's definitely more pronounced as far as sticking out of the case. And I didn't mention it last, but the finish on this case is pretty much all polished except for right on the lugs. And this crown, it's gold colored. I'm sure it's stainless steel, but it's got that gold color to it, and it has a lot more surface area, a lot more turnability, I guess you could say. And that makes it easier to use. Functionally, it's an easier to use crown, for sure. So one of the things that these watches get hit on a lot because they're cheap, and they're Seiko, it's a Seiko thing to have that typical Seiko bracelet. So the bracelets on these, they're very similar, they're very different sizes, but let's talk about this one and we'll cover a lot of the key points, and we'll get into what's different in a second. So it's a typical Seiko 5 bracelet. It's very easy to adjust. Actually, I'm going to show you how to do that on these. You don't need any fancy tools. They both only have 3 holes for micro adjust though, so to me that's not very sporty, but I got them both to fit perfectly. All right, so there's a bracelet. And as you can see, these links, they're not held in by pins. They're held in by little plates of steel. I don't know what to call this kind of bracelet adjustment style. But you see the arrow there, you put something in there to pry it, and you pop out the link holding metal thing. And I just use a screwdriver. So this screwdriver, I don't use it for screws. As you can see, it's more of a blade. I use it to adjust bracelets and take out spring bars. But you just put it in there and you kind of pry it out. And then get it in there and it comes out. It comes out all the way. I'm not going to take this one out all the way. That's how it works. And usually, it's just like that. Usually they're pretty easy to get back in. I do want to show you what bugs me about this bracelet, or rather about the options for straps and how this thing looks on straps. So I'm going to take off one of these and show you what it might look like if you wanted to throw it on a strap and why I never will. Okay, so I got it halfway on a strap, and this is just a cheap alligator fake leather strap I got from Walmart a long time ago. And the thing that bugs me most is that giant gap. The spring bar holes on these lugs is to me, it's too far away from the watch to want to throw this on a strap. If you're into that, cool, I'm not judging you, but to me it's just it doesn't look that great. Let's get it back on the bracelet. That's much better. It is a cheap bracelet, definitely, but I do like the way it looks. And it's comfortable. It's got that cheap Seiko clasp. It's only got 3 holes of micro adjustment on both of them. But it's very secure, it's very comfy. I like it. I like it the way it is. The SNKK17, on the other hand, not a big fan of this bracelet. It's a good looking bracelet, I think. It's more robust for sure. It does have 3 holes of micro adjust, just like the other one. It's got the stamped clasp as well. They both have hollow end links, if you weren't aware. I mean, it looks good, but this bracelet actually pulls my hair. Rarely do I encounter a bracelet that legitimately pulls my hair, but this one does. But because it's a 20 millimeter, lug width, I have a lot more options. And I'm gonna throw this on a strap real quick and show you how it looks. And there it is on a brown leather strap. It looks great, in my opinion. One of the reasons it looks great is because the lug bar hole is so close to the case. It's got shorter lugs. As I mentioned earlier, this has 45 millimeter lug to lug, and the SNKL23 has 45 and a half. And a half a millimeter, to me, in this instance, makes a big difference as far as strap changeability goes. I think this strap on here looks great. I'm not sure where this strap came from. Might have bought it at Walmart. I don't really know, but I think it looks pretty good. And I might just actually leave it on here. Yeah, it's not going back in the bracelet. Sorry, bracelet, you're out of commission. So overall, these are very, very cheap, reliable watches. They look great. They're good for almost any occasion. And I say almost just because they're 30-meter water resistant, so I wouldn't take these swimming. And I'm gonna be moving to California soon. I'm gonna be at the beach a lot. So I probably won't be wearing these to the beach. So I guess that's my version of the perfect 2-watch collection video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I already featured this one on my Instagram, and I'll superimpose the name of my Instagram page on this video right about nowish. This one definitely to come soon. And if you're interested in checking out some more watches that I haven't reviewed on this channel yet, definitely go on there. You're gonna see my wrist check today that I posted maybe a month or so ago. Yeah, hey, give me a comment. Let me know what you guys think about these watches. And like always, guys, remember to wear what you like.